to get your visa. But beyond that, like to the point about like life in Germany, like you're allowed to work as a student. And Germany's kind of socialist. Like they really do take care of their people. So, like your health insurance is covered if you're a student, your transport ticket is covered, you have all these discounts. So it got very easy. Like I settled in quite well. And then when I graduated, I started my master's.
Hey guys, this is Anesu, aka Nyati Shonga.
Hello, my name is Chido, aka Chizzy. Wagwan, Advocate Amanda here. Hi everyone, this is Kuda, aka Cooks. Hi, and welcome to As Told by Us, the podcast. This is a weekly podcast where 4 professional millennials discuss living in Zimbabwe and trying to figure life out.
Someone once told us the grass is much greener on the other side.
But from where we're standing, our grass is green. Subscribe, like, share, comment down below.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of As Told by Us. So we're starting with the dilemma. Here goes. Hi, I graduated from law school in December and I am back in Zimbabwe.
Oh, baby.
I'm not sure what to do next. So it's quite a 4-part question. Number 1, I'm struggling to find an internship. Number 2, I'm struggling to find an internship. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but no one is responding to my email applications. Right, so that's part 1. Please, can you share your experience with conversion exams? That's part 2. How did you do it? Was it easy? Was it hard? Also, how did you land your first job? I'm considering starting a business or a side hustle. Do you think that's wise, or I should just focus on my conversions? Yeah. And then the last question being, do you feel like there are enough opportunities for young female lawyers to actually grow in Zimbabwe? So it's a very many-part question. So I think let's take it one by one.
That's my personal feeling. I'm probably going to get in the way of answering this.
Okay, I'm going to do it like one at a time, right? So conversions, how did you feel about conversions? How did you do your conversions? I know this person, I think, is from South Africa, but they are, if you're coming from SA, there are 6 that you have to write, 6 conversion exams. If you're coming from anywhere else, say the UK, then you have 8, right? How you can do it now, it's a bit different from how when we did it. They are now 3 sittings. There's March, June, and November. Mm-hmm. You can decide to split them 2, or do all 6 or all 8 at the same time. And then, should you fail, you can always repeat in the next 2 sittings. Yeah? Does anyone want to share their experience with conversions?
Conversions are frustrating. For me, it was because just of how non-transparent the whole process is. So my advice would be just be a little bit proactive and aggressive about everything that you're going to do from now going forward. I would strongly recommend doing all 6, especially if you're not working yet. Just do it all at once. You might lose 1 or 2, and then move on. But then the problem is that the laws are changing all the time. The procedures changing all the time. So if you split it up too much, you might find yourself taking 2-3 years to just convert, and that makes it harder for you to get jobs. So just bite the bullet, do it all at once. Okay, we'll do it step by step, right?
Yeah.
So that's me on conversions. Good luck. I don't think it's hard. The content-wise, I don't think it's hard. It's the same stuff you did in school. But what's difficult is, like I said, the lack of transparency, meaning you don't have past papers, you don't have answer scripts, you don't know what they want. So make friends with people at local universities, get their past papers, make friends that are also writing, get as much resources as you can from other people, because you're not going to get it from the actual body that runs the exams.
Speaking of the body, it's now UZ that's running the exams.
Yeah.
So it's helpful to get resources then from people that are at
UZ.
UZ already.
Yeah, I guess that's like the beginning of networking, really. Like conversions are like the beginning of networking.
Yeah.
Because without conversions, I don't think we would be as close as we are now.
We struggled together, we came out together.
It's a trauma bond.
It's trauma bond.
It's literally, this week is Kuda's house. This week is Agnesa's house. This week is Chido's house.
And Amanda would come and we'd study together.
And honestly, there's power in numbers. If you have other people that you know that are also writing, it's easier to do it together. At least then you can also share information, and whatever resources you all get, you help each other out. Okay, so I want to move on to the next question. Unless somebody else has anything to say. The question is, I'm struggling to find an internship. Maybe I am doing it wrong, but no one responds to my emails.
Stop emailing.
You're doing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong. I was about to say. Yeah, I think go like door to door, you know. We're in 2024. You would think that if you send your email, you know, somebody's gonna have a look at it. But
we're in
I think
Zimbabwe.
it makes a world of a difference if you actually go to the specific law firms, speak to someone, like as Amanda was saying, kind of be aggressive a little bit. Like, hi, I came to drop off my CV.
Yeah.
Who can I speak to? Like, just don't just allow your CV to be dropped off by the gate.
Yeah.
Because they're just gonna throw it aside. So like, be a bit aggressive.
And strategy is important.
Yeah.
So definitely when we were looking for jobs, we did the door-to-door thing, right? And we had to do physical drop-offs. But also, I think in the way that sort of helped us a little bit, well, at least me, was that before I went to the law firm, I knew who either the HR partner was or the managing partner, and I would address my envelopes to that person. I wouldn't write CV or anything. I would just put I'll put the name of the person so that whoever receives it thinks, listen, it's an important document that this person needs to see. So they'll put it on their desk. I was very assured that they at least received it. Whether or not they called me back was a different story.
Yeah.
But the fact that I at least knew that they opened it, and once they open it, they're probably just going to go through it anyway, right? And then if you know who you've addressed it to, call the firm, say, hello, I would like to speak to Mr. So-and-so, the person you obviously addressed the envelope to, and then have a conversation with them. It really is more about the aggression and the strategy to doing it, because you are one of many, and your CV will drop in a box and nobody will pick it up.
Yeah. And also like ask people, like how I got my job was because a friend knew I was looking for work. It wasn't even like I dropped off a CV anyway. It was because a friend found a ad. We're looking for this such and such person to be a legal intern at this company. And he just sent me that link. And then I had to then like communicate with those people. So just tell people, like, don't be scared to tell people, I am looking for work. Here's my CV. Like, give your friends and family, here's my CV. So if they meet someone, they're more like they've got like something to give that person then and there. Yeah, so I guess it goes back to being aggressive.
Yeah, and
Be aggressive.
take some time to also get to know your environment, because Zim law firms, I'm guessing you didn't study in Zim. Zim law firms don't work like how it works outside, because I remember we studied in South Africa, and most of those firms have a structure where it's like there's a certain season where they're taking in applications and there's a process. Here people hire because they have a vacancy, and that's any time of the year. So you need to keep your ear on the ground. LinkedIn is your friend. Stalk those people. Find out what the firms are. There's so many. So look them up. Find out who's where. Get to know who's who, and network. That's really how you kind of get in. You just need somebody to listen to you and refer you to someone until you get in. Yeah.
And then the last one, okay, well, I guess guess it could be a two-part. Should I start a business or should I focus on the law? And do you feel like there are enough opportunities for young female lawyers to grow in Zimbabwe?
I think if you have a business idea that you think is viable, I think you should pursue that while looking for a job in the legal field. Because it might take you 6 months, it might take you a year to actually get the job. So rather than sitting, I think if you already have an entrepreneurial spirit, why not also kind of
Proceed it too.
start working on that? Because my personal feelings are that I wouldn't want to be working for someone for the rest of my life. So if you actually have something that you want to start on your own, I would say start working on that as well while you're trying to get into the field. And then 5 years down the line, you'll have options. You can choose what you want to do with your life.
Are there opportunities for growth for young female lawyers?
That's why I'm saying don't give up on your entrepreneurial dreams.
Okay, that's clear.
I think there are no opportunities. Why I say you have to be aggressive is you have to just realize that there's no set out path, there's no one waiting, there's no one who cares. It's like, oh, let's create a little landing nest for all these people. No, it's not there. So you're gonna have to literally create it. I've had people literally come and look for a space even where there's no space advertised, to say I want to come. I've been at firms where like we have people come in to organize books or something like that. Like just be that person who's there and find a space for yourself. Make yourself useful. That's the most important thing. So get to know what's happening, find a way to be visible, and you should be okay.
Create your own opportunity.
Yeah, I was actually about to say
Yeah.
that. I feel like when you come out of like uni, I think there's like this little gap that's there where you don't realize that now you're on your own. Okay?
Yeah.
You're literally on your own now. Like your parents have done what they need to do. They've sent you to school and you're now on your own. So I just say Godspeed, girl. You need to Godspeed. Just focus on it. Like I understand like trying to think what can I do right now, but I feel like that pressure then demotivates you from what you need to do.
Yeah.
So like the question how I interpret it is I'm not doing well with this finding a job thing. Should I do something else? Should I do something on the side? But I just want to say don't let like that little side hustle that you want to do like not give you the strength to continue with what you want to do. You've gone to school for how many years you've gone to school. Finish those exams, do them at once, like Amanda says, do them now. Don't be demoralized. Because I feel like so many people, when they get back home, they're like, yo, what is this? Like, what is going on? So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Just like, don't give up.
Even just the application process in itself for conversions is long.
They're trying to demoralize you.
Already you are going to be demoralized. Personally, so before I landed my job as a legal intern, I was at some other job that was not really legal. And then I started my business whilst I was doing that. But then I continued it once I got my job as a legal intern. So it does help also because in any case, you're not going to get paid well as a legal intern anyway. You might need the additional financing. You might need more money. You might as well start your business. And there was a point in time where the law really annoyed me. So I left law for a bit and I managed to continue with my business. And that sustained me for a while until I went back to law. So I think, like Chido said, it gives you options. You're not going to be stuck in one thing. So if you can do both, do both. Are there opportunities? Then I want to say you have to create your own. There's no 2 ways about it, especially as a female lawyer. Here, the law, law field is still very much a boys' club. And you really need to be very aggressive as a female lawyer and just take up your own space, make up your own space, create it for yourself, and you should be fine. That's it from us. Good luck. We wish you well. All the best. Reach out to anybody personally. Find us on LinkedIn, find us on Instagram, whatever, if you still have more questions. But we're here for you.
Right, so that takes us into our episode. We're very excited today because we are hosting Ropa, who's here, and that's what our episode is going to be about. Ropa is a young co-founder of a tech startup, and she is a millennial living in Berlin. And she's a Zimbabwean living in Berlin. I'm not going to say too much because she's going to tell us. Welcome to the podcast, Ropa.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're just going to start by getting to know you, of course. I think just to introduce yourself briefly, where you're from, and who are you? Who is Ropa?
Okay, my name is Ropa Fadzo Murombo. I was born here in Harare. I was born at Baines Avenue, if anyone must know. And yeah, I grew up here in Belvedere. I went to school in Harare. I went to all girls schools my whole life. And then when I finished high school, I moved. Well, I actually went to the UZ for a year. I studied engineering at UZ. And I was just having a hard time. So I looked for opportunities outside of Zim. And then I moved to Germany. And then I've lived there since. And I've lived in Germany for 9 years. Almost 9 years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How was 1 year at UZ?
It was interesting. So first thing is that switching from Cambridge to UZ was tough because engineering is very math heavy. Yeah. So it was just brutal academically. And also like the people I was studying with had done things like technical graphics, and there was just no such thing where I went to school. So it was brutal academically. And then socially it was also tough. So I think my first semester at UZ was brutal. And I was also coping with the fact that everyone I'd gone to high school with had gone somewhere else. So my entire ecosystem, my entire support system was gone. One of my closest friends had just passed away in a tragic accident. So I was just going through it. So maybe that tainted my experience. But it was brutal. And then my second semester at UZ was a lot better because I'd made so many friends and I was a lot more active. But I still had to get out of there. I still at least chose to leave. Yes.
Okay. I have so many questions. I kind of want to say So you had to then stop your course and start all over again?
Yes, pretty much. I think it was because the Faculty of Engineering was such a boys' club. And this is so funny because wherever I did go, I still went and did boys' club things. But I think I felt like I was being bullied. Like I felt like I was constantly going through it. And I had to deal with so many things outside of the math that was already hard, So, and then in addition, being a crybaby did not help anything. So I think it was the combination of like trying to juggle and catch up academically while simultaneously maybe being treated or feeling like I was treated like an outsider. Trying to balance that, I tried and it didn't work out, and there was an opportunity to leave, so I took it. It was more in that area than that like there was something that actually pushed me away, Yeah.
Okay, now that's cool.
Yeah.
So what did you then do study-wise in Berlin?
Yeah, so that was also a very interesting journey. When I did leave, my visa took so long to come out that where I was originally supposed to study, I missed the enrollment deadline. So I wanted to study engineering, but I couldn't. And I ended up picking a school that would start in the summer semester, as they call it. And the only one that had an English course that was starting in summer was in Berlin. And I went to the school with the intention of being there for a semester and then going back to my original, first choice university. But when I got to Berlin, I was studying international business. I fell in love with it, and it was stuff that I'd never learned. I did math, physics, and chemistry for A-level. The high school I went to was very like academics is everything. If you're not a doctor, a lawyer, nothing. So I had never even what was economics. Like I didn't even know.
Hey there, lovely listeners. So listen, running a podcast in Zimbabwe is quite the journey. It requires resources, and when we say resources, we mean money, time, and effort. Wondering how you can support us? Well, we've got you covered with Inbucks, or World Remit if you're on the other side of the world. We'll be posting our Inbucks details on our social media platforms. Whether it's the cost of a cup of coffee or a virtual high five, every little bit of your support counts. Remember, supporting our podcast isn't about funding our caffeine addiction, though it is in part, but your support keeps our podcast alive and thriving and helps us create more content, ensuring that our laughter echoes through your devices. Thanks for being part of our community and for listening.
What was the conversation that you had to have with the parentals about switching from UZ to Berlin? And then from engineering to international business.
So you know why the conversation was tough? So I had straight A's for my O-levels. So I had a scholarship, an Econet scholarship. And in fact, even I promise you, I was probably like an artsy kid and I should have just been vibing out, doing French and like just drama for A-level. Like I should have done that. But then I did the sciences. So everyone had this expectation. And the fact that I had the scholarship meant there was a huge opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, and the scholarship was only available in Zimbabwe. So if I chose a Zimbabwean institution, my tuition was fully paid. It was an Econet scholarship, so I would have all these other extras. So that was the beginning, actually, was when I decided that Zimbabwe was not working out. People were like, eh? What do you mean? Education. What do you mean? And then also just engineering as a degree is really tough to get into at UZ. I think you need like 13, 14 points minimum. And so it's like, but program Yacho is a good program. Like, why would you let this go? So to be honest, the entire process of like moving, I had to be bold. And say like, I'm doing this. There was a backup plan. There were 2 backup plans. I never stopped the actual UZ. And then I also got into the University of Pretoria. So if I didn't leave for Germany, I could also move to UP in the beginning of the following year. So that was part of maybe the negotiation, where I was like, okay, yeah, but yeah, it really started when I was still here. And when I finally decided to switch to international business, it was so circumstantial. I think that everyone was relieved that I had sorted out my paperwork. Because like I said, the uni had literally refused to let me enroll. So it was a precarious, I'm glad my one. And so everyone was just like,
at least she's going somewhere.
I don't know if they thought I was going to continue, but here we are. So, yeah.
Okay, so then tell us about life from then and then sort of segueing into where you are now. How was Berlin? Did you feel more at home in Germany than you did at UZ? How was that experience?
I think I felt at home in Germany because I built my adult life there and it was super straightforward. Like, especially in the beginning. It was very like, so like for people that don't know, tuition is free in Germany, and like tuition even for international students for all universities, or at least public ones, which is most.
When can I say that?
Literally. No, but you see, you know what I'm thinking? That probably made the conversation easier.
That helped, yes.
Because if you were already going to do free schooling at the UZ, and now you're saying, okay, I'm going to Germany, but it's also free, so just let me go.
Yeah.
That probably helped.
I think it actually helped in the choice because I probably could have gone anywhere, right? If I said, hey, I'm unhappy in my current circumstances. The fact that I insisted on Germany literally started with the whole free tuition thing. But FYI, you do need something called a blocked account. So you need to have your first year's expenses in an account. That's the easiest way to get your visa. But beyond that, like to the point about like life in Germany, like you're allowed to work as a student. And Germany's kind of socialist. Like they really do take care of their people. So, like your health insurance is covered if you're a student, your transport ticket is covered, you have all these discounts. So it got very easy. Like I settled in quite well. And then when I graduated, I started my master's, and it was during my master's that I did like a project, or my co-founder did a project. My co-founder and I did a project that turned into a company, essentially. And throughout my time in Germany, I've always worked in tech. So even though I studied international business, I spent half my life at work working on software. So I was super excited about the opportunity to work on a tech startup. And then the topic that she wanted to work on was something that I was super passionate about. And then the fact that it would be like a woman-led startup was something I was super passionate about as well. So it just made sense to go from the master's into the project. And we got like a grant that required you to do full-time startupping. So you had to kind of leave the uni for a bit to work on your startup full time for a year. And that's how I kind of pivoted. That's how we kind of switched into becoming a founder. But my intention had just been to work hard and then work hard some more. So this is right on the mark. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, wait, so tell us about the startup.
Okay, so my startup is a pet tech startup. So I have a dog called Penny, and I've just grown up with dogs here in Zimbabwe. So huge pet lover. And what my startup does, it's called Feniska. We build health monitoring products for pets, and there is a huge pet industry in Europe. In Germany alone, there's 16 million cats and 14 million dogs just in the country. So there's a lot of people that care very deeply about their pets, and their biggest challenge is they don't understand their pets because their pets don't speak. So a lot of the time they catch diseases too early. And what my startup does is we empower pet owners to spot signs and symptoms of disease very quickly. And we do this through devices. So we actually design devices that track things, but we also do this through software. So through an app, and pet owners can like use a symptom checker, and if something wrong, we can help them, guide them through the steps to get help for their pet. And that's what my startup does. It's called Feniska, if I didn't mention. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, do you know what's so funny? So I just Googled the population of Zimbabwe after you said there's 14 million dogs.
Oh my, I'm going to add this to my pitches. There's more.
So there's 16 million Zimbabweans. So
there's the same number of Zimbabweans as there's cats in Germany.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
Thank you for that.
I don't know how to feel.
You can have a nation of just cats. That's mad. I love that.
So in the tech space, did you do any software engineering, programming, or you're a developer? How did you really get into that as your side thing at school?
That's such a good question. So I'm actually, woman in tech is such a buzzword at the moment, and I've never identified with that term because I'm not a developer. My co-founder is. I am a business person who has always worked in tech. So my very first job was actually partner management. I made sure integrations happened. So I made sure one software integrated with the other one in tech. And it was very like relationship management oriented. And then after that, I worked very much on like user research and business analytics. So just understanding, okay, what do people using a specific software? What's their goal and how can we help them reach it? But not a developer. My co-founder is though. She's a front-end developer.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your business
co-founder from?
She is German.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's cool. So it doesn't sound like you're coming back home.
Girl, I mean, on some level, you know, when I was speaking to Amanda before the recording, I was like, what should we talk about? And so on. We had a lovely conversation about that. And I chose burnout because I'm like,
Tired.
oh my goodness. I think running a business is actually fine for me. I think like founding, incorporating, starting, running, fundraising, hiring, all of that, I love it. I can do it all day, every day. It's the whole being away from home thing that gets me worked up and that adds so much to it seems like the best way to run my business is to be wherever the business is running. But at the same time, on a personal level, that has been so difficult.
How often do you come back?
Not enough. So I actually didn't come home for like 6 years. That probably contributed. So I studied, and then when I graduated, I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. The pandemic happened. I started my business during the pandemic, and then was only able to come home for the first time last year. Yeah.
You say something that I think we've always spoken about, not in the podcast, but like outside of the pod, where we're always like, oh, we need to get somebody who lives in the diaspora to kind of tell us what it's like to be on the other side. Because I think from our perspective, when you're in Zim, most people are always like, we want to leave. Like, you're anxious to leave. You want to leave because life seems better elsewhere.
Right.
So what kind of challenges have you faced just being away from home?
Yeah.
Is the grass really greener on the other side?
So the grass, I would say, was or is greener when it came to life building. So like I woke up and started a tech startup as a girl from Harare.
Yeah.
And raised money with investors and actually put a product on the market, and did all sorts because I wanted to, and I was passionate about the topic. And there was so much infrastructure that supported me through that journey. And my company has raised, I think we've raised maybe 800,000 euro in non-diluting funds, like government, just grants.
Go girl.
You go girl. Yes, we believe in you. You can do this. And this is in addition to just like a lot of different things that make it possible for us to run businesses, right? So, and then to be women doing this, so much infrastructure has enabled it. So the grass is greener in that sense for me as an entrepreneur. Greener as well in terms of seeing other successful entrepreneurs, access to investors, access to talent, access to whatever. It's been so much. What's the opposite of green? Browner? Like, if the grass is not green, what is it? Dry on a personal level, because I think outside of my ecosystem of other Africans or other people with migrant backgrounds, I am incredibly lonely and alone in dealing with every single thing that I have to deal with. And also Germany is a place that's kind of maybe newer to African immigration. So people have always moved to Germany for various reasons. There's a huge Turkish population, for example, or Polish population. But when it comes to African immigrants, I would say maybe the last 15 to 20 years is where there's been a massive surge. And I just don't think there's enough infrastructure to accommodate us. Like, we're there, but like, are the people ready for us to be there? Right. Just the people around us. Can I get a therapist to speak something that's not German if I'm not okay? Like, these kinds of things is where you really suffer. So it's just, I think on a personal level has been really isolating, and we survive through like these ecosystems that we build on our own. So I know 5 people, and then we turn ourselves into like a community, you know? And then that's how we get on. Yeah.
Is this an environment where, social things aside, you see yourself actually, settling and getting old? How is it in terms of equity? Is it one of those where if you're a migrant, it's really about your labor and your input, but then you can't actually own anything? Or is it a bit more accommodating in terms of that, to say you can actually buy a house, you can settle down, you can have assets?
I actually can't comment on home ownership that much, but what I will say though or just ownership in general. So, ownership of a company, not a problem. Headache bureaucratically, but it's a headache for everyone, regardless. So ownership of like those kinds of assets, I would say Germany is very accommodating. When I needed to get my entrepreneur visa, I worked very closely with the Berlin Chamber of Commerce and something called Berlin Partner and Berlin Business Immigration Services. These are all like organizations that are trying to get entrepreneurs into Berlin. And every single state in Germany would have something similar. So on that level, I think we're good. On a policy level, I also think Germany is really trying to foster immigration. The theory is because their economy needs labor. So they don't have enough skilled workers. Therefore, they have to make it as easy as possible for skilled labor from elsewhere to move in. So there's a lot of things happening. Like this year, they've just lowered the barrier or whatever, the requirements to get a German passport significantly. It's quick as 3 years, depending on what you do. So it's so aligned with wanting people to stay long term on a policy level. And for me as a student, it was so appealing because if you graduate from the free tuition uni, you can apply for an 18-month visa to just look for a job, like just to ask nicely. So they give you another 18 months to just like try.
Baby lawyer.
They're like, just hang out for a while and like just shoot your shot. Maybe you get something. And I'm sure like, you know, on paper, these things are fantastic and they were very appealing to people like me. But in practice, it's bureaucracy, guys. Like you're standing in queue somewhere, you're on call waiting on a phone somewhere. They don't have language support if you're not able to speak German for that particular topic and so on. So in reality, I don't see it for myself. Like, last year, I just had like an injury in my foot that I had to deal with for 2 years. I would wait like 3 months for doctor's appointments. So things like that, you can have the country, you know, you can have the location, you can have everything. Those are the things that make me not want to stay there long term.
Yeah. Okay. So you did say something quite interesting that I found, that your co-founder is a developer, but you are not, right? And I think right now, everyone grasping with tech, AI, all those fun things that are happening right now. And a lot of people don't understand maybe how, like coding, right? Not everybody gets it. And it's not easy to do that, right? But now you're also thinking in terms of longevity. So us as lawyers, for example, if we don't get AI, if we don't get tech, we're not going to be in business for long, right? But since you're kind of on the side, yes, you're in tech, but you're not a developer, do you think then that there's a way to get into tech space, AI space, without having to learn the coding and software development and all those things?
Absolutely. I just think it requires like an environment that enables it. So tech companies will maybe have 40% of their labor that would be maybe like the actual developers. Everyone else is adjacent. And even within tech, there is non-developer roles, like being a product manager. There's a lot of product managers that have a tech background, but there's a lot that don't. And they work every single day with engineers. And it takes the opportunity to be exposed to this kind of role. So many product managers. I don't even know yet if there's many courses where you can study product managers and product management. It's like such a self-taught, organic position over the last years where it's like you just have to be at the right place at the right time. You know, that's how it literally developed into a role. So it's so easy to work in tech and be in tech. It's just that like you need the exposure. And then when it comes to the technologies themselves, like AI, I think the world is going towards a place where it's making it more and more accessible for every single person. So I hope that everyone is able to like incorporate it into whatever business they're planning. How can you make it more efficient? How can you make it whatever? Just by using a particular tech product that's already there. Yeah.
Love that.
Building on that, actually, and with all the exposure you already have from outside, do you think we have, how do I say this in a nice way? Do you think we, as Zimbabwe, are there opportunities here in this country for what you're doing that side, considering you want to come back home at some point in your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She just said
She
she's
said
coming
not
back.
Germany, maybe forever, but she didn't say coming back here.
Firstly,
That's my question, because I want to know, like, people who have bad exposure, do you think Zim might be?
I think, okay, so for me, number one, home is home. There is no amount of anything that I've accomplished in Germany that replaces the fact that this is my home. And there's no amount of like accolades you can give me as a German entrepreneur, because I do identify as that. I'm a managing director of a German enterprise. But to me, I'm a Zimbabwean entrepreneur. My style of leadership, just my vibe, my dreams, my goals, everything is Zimbabwe. So just to put it out there, is being wherever I live doesn't change the fact that I want to build something that actually is Zimbabwe. Yes. How to do that is, I guess, where the actual question is, right? So, and I would say yes to answer you. There's absolutely so much that I can do here as an entrepreneur with a German company. One of the most challenging things as an entrepreneur in Germany is just recruiting, labor, skills, also finding partners. Our product, I think I mentioned, our goal is to help spot symptoms of disease. So it's very research and development heavy. It's also very life science heavy. We work very closely with vets. And it's also very like tech heavy. So AI heavy, robotics heavy, like we are actually building things and so on. And it's very difficult to find talent in Germany for this and to afford it as well, and to do this and to do that and get through all the loopholes as such a small startup and so on. And there's so much talent in Zimbabwe. Really, there's so much. Even for these topics, we build hardware. There's so many engineers. Remember, I started at the Faculty of Engineering at UZ. All of those people that I was hanging out with, those are people that
all you bullies.
I know.
Call her and beg for a job.
Yeah, but that's where I see the potential is skill. Skill, research, product development. I would love to do a huge part of it here at home. Yeah.
Would you do the same kind of work? So still pets centric, even in Zim, or would you do something
Maybe
else?
livestock.
Livestock, yeah. Cows, cattle, that kind of thing. Every time I bring up my startup, people take me directly to livestock.
What about cows?
And the chickens and the cattle. And honestly, there's huge applications for our products in that direction. But for me, even just the house tier, the home animals, the pets, that alone, there's a huge, there's a lot to tap into here. And then within the animals themselves, there's so many things to branch into. Our company right now is very good with weight tracking. It's like something we're fantastic at. But we can get fantastic at heart rate tracking, and then get fantastic at the next thing, and the next thing, and the thing after that.
Yeah, but you know, like Zimbabwe dogs, right? Anaboki, right?
Yeah.
We don't treat them the same. These are like god dogs. These are outside pets.
Poor kids,
you know,
poor cats.
Even with Zimbabwe dogs with cats, ma'am. Literally. No. We don't treat. I don't think we treat our animals, in the same way that like the other skin type
Europeans,
who would
yeah.
treat, their animals. But I do get what you mean, because I mean, if I was to get a dog, obviously, but this is now a millennial thing that I feel like, oh, a dog is cute. My mother is like, get a banzi.
Yeah.
And then, hey, exactly.
Trend, millennials have a trend. Like there's a trend within millennials, which is like pet humanization.
Yeah.
So I don't know yet if it's global. What I know is it exists there, right? Where Boki is like the firstborn of the house, actually. Like that's our baby. But it's his first birthday. What are we doing? So it's a different.
Boki needs a cake.
Yeah, Boki needs a cake. Exactly. So maybe it's a like a global trend. I have not considered yet. Like looked at. Maybe this is also another answer to your question. Like selling the products,
right?
Like pet products, like in Zim. I have not done the research or seen what that could look like. Our market, though, is definitely in Germany, in Europe, and so on, for sure. Yeah.
And to be honest, to me, it kind of makes sense that you guys have found success in Europe, only because in Africa, surely, I'm even trying to think how many people would buy into your product, particularly in Zim. I think very few. Like most people who have Boki, they actually don't care about Boki's health.
Yeah.
I think pet owners are the same globally, though. So the one thing is that people that have animals and care about their animals, care about them globally, they just have different problems to solve. So I think people with Boki, maybe it's about Apoy and if I get, how do we get him home? Okay. Where is Boki? Right. So I can build them a tracker. Whereas there, it's like Fluffy's not eating the same. Is Fluffy sick? Yeah. And that's the tracker that's needed there. Fluffy's not playing as much as she used to. Is Fluffy okay? Yeah. And those are the questions we ask.
That's so important because personally, I've lost so many pets. I think one too many. And I think it's to an environment that doesn't know what to do beyond, like I remember there was an issue with parvo. Yes. Where you'll take your pet for a shot, but then that trip to the vet actually infects them and then they end up not making it. So it's just like you get so frustrated and you sort of want to shelter your dogs or whatever, but you feel limited in terms of the help that you can get. So I think that's an awesome thing.
And there's also no education because the person who gave the dog that shot should have also told you that, okay, this is a 5-in-1. This sometimes happens to your pet. But because everyone's thinking it's Boki, even the person giving the dog the shot.
Exactly.
This is Boki.
The global problem that my company solves. We honor what the current product does. It's like very Europe, very that's the market. But the global problem is that pet owners just want to know more about their pets. That one. I just want to know about Boki. Mm-hmm. So he got parvo or he got the shot. What does it mean? Or is he due for another one? Does he need a booster? What does it even mean? I just want to know about my pet, and this is I think universal for people that care about their pets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do like the idea about a tracker because today when I was driving from church, there were 2 Bokis that were in the road that I almost ran over. And I was like, whose dogs are these? And where are the owners? And so, thankfully, they're been trained.
Those Bokis don't need a tracker. Let me tell you, those Bokis, they run the neighborhood though. Their owner know exactly where they are. Then the owner knows the Boki's coming back this evening.
Oh my gosh.
They know Boki probably went to visit a neighbor somewhere. Yeah.
No, that's really awesome. So it's been really awesome having you, Ropa. I feel like this is a conversation that definitely needs to continue. So we're just gonna have you in the studio again very soon. So thank you. Any last takeaways from this episode? Any last questions before we let our guests go?
I was going to chime in and...
I'm sorry, I forgot you were here.
Sorry, we didn't even...
I was like...
We forgot about you.
Sorry. It's cool. That's the mysterious and everything. So with the tech space in third world countries, we dabbled in a startup a couple of years back. We're in education and we're using crypto and kind of in the NFT space and that sort of thing. And one of the biggest challenges we faced was basically the product market fit, like data challenges, that sort of thing. So we actually had to pivot and start building on WhatsApp because it's the most accessible platform. So would you feel like to implement like your solution in somewhere like Zimbabwe to make it like pretty much mainstream in Zim, you'd have to like maybe build a bot or that sort of thing? Or would you just make it cater to like those who are interested in actually go out to get the app?
So I think I would tailor it to Zimbabwe. So the aim is very clear for us. We need cat owners or pet owners to know when their pet needs help. So if Boki has wandered, the famous Boki who's well known in Marlborough, if he's now in Mount Pleasant, we need an alarm that goes like tee, 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 tee. So, you know, the solution we're trying to implement doesn't necessarily have to be app relate like reliant, right? The technology we use in the back end will always be deeply tech. So data analytics is a big part of it. The way we're able to tell if Boki has a problem is because we're tracking everything about Boki. So with our first product, we track underneath the cat's litter box. Cats in Europe have a litter box. They have a toilet in the house. So we track there, we track what's happening, and then we're able to tell the weights, the toilet visits, how much time is being spent in the toilet, what's left, and all of that gives us insight into urinary tract infections, obesity, diabetes, kidney problems. And that technology is very, very techie. We need to do the data analytics properly. It's AI, it's machine learning. So that can never go away. But how we implement it in the front for a user can be localized, I believe. And I actually think solutions like mobile messaging or WhatsApp and all of these, they're not as popular there because everyone's using an app, but there's also instances where maybe it could be an interesting fit because some people have just fatigue from having so many apps. Some people don't have enough storage on their phones from apps. So if they actually had a product that gave them the option to get the mobile messaging and so on, it could even be applied elsewhere. So yeah, that's my take, is like tech has to be techie, but the implementation on the front end or for the user can be whatever makes the most sense for them to know that, hey, Boki needs me. Yeah.
Sorry, one last question. Cost of living.
Okay.
In Germany.
Yes.
What is it like? Is it high? Is it low? Is it...
It has changed drastically. I think post-pandemic, there's just a cost of living crisis across the board. But I always thought Germany was such an affordable place to live, especially when I was a student. I thought it was so doable. I was able to travel and have an apartment and, you know, just have a good time on a student budget. So that's the only thing I can compare it to. As like an adulting in Germany right now, girl, it's a mess. Like we are send help. Send help. So at the moment it seems like there's a cost of living crisis across the board.
Yeah. No, sorry, because I just kind of feel like Chida said, a lot of us are feeling like we're in Zim, we should leave. But what we then don't think about is once we're there, the cost of living could be higher than what you're thinking, and then your salary plus cost of living.
Oh, I do think okay. I know we're supposed to say goodbye, but one thing I will say is that it just sets you up for different lives. I think that's I don't know if there's an economics term for this, but I just think you're just set up for different lives. Germany has a very high tax and social contribution rate. So if your salary is 10K, you're getting 5 or 6K net, which means the rest is going to health insurance that you might never need, or pension that you might not need because you're not even German, or you don't plan to be there that long, and so on. So those kinds of things, you don't have a lot of cash to play around with it in that way, but
But the lifestyle.
the lifestyle is different. You can afford everything. You can travel. You can save. You can invest.
Right.
You can plan. The economy is predictable and so on. But if you then want to start a business out of that, it's a bit tougher. Whereas here, I think you can. You can have one running by next week if you need to. Okay.
No, that's awesome. I'm cutting you guys off. Thank you so much, Ropa. We really, really loved having you. I think if any listeners or you haven't noticed, that's kind of the whole theme of the podcast. If you notice when we say someone once told me the grass is much greener. So it's just about comparing those life experiences, and you kind of come to the realization that there's value in every perspective that we have. So thank you, Ropa, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening. Please like, please subscribe. We're going to link everything that Ropa was talking about in our description. So please do check out her app.
And if you're in Germany, like, support the girl.
Support the girl.
If you have a cat, hit me up.
Awesome.